Hey there, lads and lasses. Jimbo here. Today I'm going to talk about Star Wars. Now I've done Star Wars film videos before, but this one is me ranking all the Star Wars films from least best to best, my personal opinion only, and I'm excluding the holiday special, the two Ewok films, and the Clone Wars because they do not interest me at all. So this includes episodes 1 through to 8, and the spin-offs. So here we go. The first coming in at number 10 is The Phantom Menace. Now, The Phantom Menace is a film which I really enjoyed back when I was a kid, but going back to it now, my opinion has drastically changed about it, and I don't think it's anywhere near as good as I remember. I mean, what do you expect when you've got Jar Jar Binks and like really bad acting from Jake Lloyd? And again, you can't really fault actors for it. They just go by what they're given. And if you look back on it, there's too much green screen. You can tell things are fake. And overall, the script wasn't that good either. The only saving grace, really, was Ewan McGregor. He was good. He's one of the highlights of the prequels. And you also have Darth Maul. And the battle between them two at the end of the film was one of the highlights of the entire thing. It was brilliant lightsaber battle. But everything else just didn't quite do it for me. So, coming in at number 9 is Attack of the Clones. Now, many people will put The Phantom Menace above Attack of the Clones, but me, personally, I prefer Attack of the Clones due to more action and less of the slow scenes in Tatooine. Because the scenes with young Anakin in the pod race and Watto and all that slave stuff just kind of dragged a little bit, but in this one it sort of writes it all out and replaces it with something. I wouldn't say it is as bad. The scenes between Anakin and Padme, which are a bit cringy, just like, whatever, I don't want to know. And I don't virtually see any chemistry between Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman, and it's a shame because personally I think they're both very good actors. I mean, even Hayden Christensen, I believe if he was given the right role, he would be so much better. So, Attack of the Clones, the ending lightsaber fight was a bit crap. I mean, it was just like swinging around little, just in the dark, like they weren't even trying to hit each other, Anakin and Dooku at the end. But when Yoda showed up and started flipping everywhere, it was dead funny when I first saw it. Because, just something you don't expect. So, yeah, that comes at number 9. Coming at number 8 is Solo, A Star Wars Story. Now, this for me was a film I was excited for, but not necessarily something I wanted. For example, I don't think it was necessary to the franchise. I mean, Han Solo has always been one of the most beloved Star Wars characters of all, and with the recent backlash of The Last Jedi, people are really taking risks here and not always pulling it off. I mean, I'm not sure what the actor's name is, Alden something, I can't pronounce his last name. But he was good, he wasn't a problem, but the thing is, it seemed that he was portraying someone completely different to the Han Solo that we all love and know. Harrison Ford will always be Han Solo to me, and but what was really the highlight of the film was Donald Glover as Lando, because he is the perfect example of a younger Billy D. Williams. I thought he was really, really good. And Emilia Clarke was also, to me, more interesting than Han Solo himself. I mean, she's a brilliant actress, although I don't watch Game of Thrones, but of what I've seen her in, she's good. So coming in at number 7 is Revenge of the Sith. Now, this is the final instalment of the prequels until the spin-off started happening. So, this is basically the fall of the Jedi and how Darth Vader and the Empire came to be. Now, when I first watched this was the best film I ever saw back when I was like 15, back when it was released. But looking back on it now, it's nowhere near as good as it could have been. Like the potential that the original set up, and George Lucas didn't want to do the film straight away because he didn't have the technology back then. So you'd expect something that's mind blowing. And to me, it was at the time, but again, the green screen and the script just wasn't very good. But what was the highlight for me was Ewan McGregor once again. He was brilliant, and the guy's just a joy to watch in nearly anything that he's in. The lightsaber battle at the end between Anakin and Obi-Wan was a little too well choreographed, if you ask me. Like, it was awesome, don't get me wrong, but if you look at it carefully, they look like they're dancing, like doing little ballerina spins and everything like that. It's a bit funny, but it's still a great action scene to watch. So, maybe Darth Vader at the end screaming no, that may not be the best thing to do. Maybe just showing trash a room and sort of scream instead of shouting no. Like George Lucas has a thing for the word no. I mean, they even did it with the 2004 revision version of the Return of the Jedi. They added a no in when Darth Vader picked up the Emperor and threw him over the balcony. They added no. Shouldn't have done that. So coming in at number 6 is Rogue One. Now I enjoyed this film. Didn't really feel like a Star Wars film for a majority of it, but whenever you saw the Stormtroopers and Darth Vader and the Empire, that's when it really felt like the originals were being brought back to life. Only slightly. There are some flaws with the film. Some scenes drag. Not everything works. Felicity Jones, I think, is really, really good, and her story really, really interests me. And I know that Rogue One went through quite a few reshoots back in the day, and that was the worrying thing for it going into it. But overall, it pulled off okay, but still not brilliant. It was one of the best films I saw that year, but not quite amazing and not quite the Star Wars feel to it. Coming in at number 5, sorry about that, is The Last Jedi. Now, people are probably thinking, Jim Bob, you're a dick, why are you picking this film? Well, I guess I'm a dick then, because I do love this film, and like there are so many problems with it overall, but to me, I thought some of it was executed rather well, and the new Force powers I think are awesome. I don't think there's a problem with them whatsoever. Maybe Leia dragging herself back into the ship with the Force was a little bit dumb, but the way Rey lifts all those boulders all at once, I thought that was awesome. I mean, I don't see why it's a problem, but I can understand why people would assume it's a problem as well. Luke and the completely different person that he is in the original trilogy, people didn't like that. But to me, nobody can stay the same for that long, and obviously this incident between him and Kylo Ren traumatised him, and that's why he's pretty much, down in the dumps now. And who can blame the guy? I mean, overall, the action I think is perfect. Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, John Boyega, they're all good. The only thing which they could have erased from the entire film was Canto Bight. The Canto Bight scene did not need to be there, with Finn and Rose riding these weird-looking space horses. I just didn't think it needed to be there. A lot of problems with the film, which I hope will be fixed. But overall, it's not a bad film. I do love that film. Coming in at number 4 is The Return of the Jedi. Now, this is the last entry of the original trilogy back in the 70s and 80s. And to me, maybe if they put Wookiees on Endor instead of Ewoks, it would have been so much better. But still, you've got to love this film for what it is. I mean, it's one of the best third entries of a trilogy I've ever seen to date. And maybe not all of it pulls off, but you got to admit it's a perfect ending to the perfect trilogy. Now, I know that originally the idea which George Lucas was going to use was for Luke Skywalker to put on Vader's helmet after their final battle and go, "I am Vader now." Personally, that would have sucked. So it's great that it ended the way it did. Every actor is great. Harrison Ford specifically is my favourite. He always has been. Han Solo is such a beloved character to me. And great film. Not the best though. Coming in at number 3, this is going to shock somebody. Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. Originally titled simply Star Wars back in 1977 when it was released. This film makes you feel like you're completely in a galaxy far, far away. Like, imagine this new open world and things just all around you. And it's just something that nobody ever saw before. And with the budget of this film, it was completely labelled to slam down and just be terrible. I would love to see like a film made on that particular event one day. Something like The Disaster Artist, but in terms of George Lucas and his struggles. Maybe. It'd be an interesting film to watch, I think. But A New Hope is where it all started, and despite being a very, very old film, it is still one of the best. Now, coming in at number 2 to me is Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Now, The Force Awakens was the longly anticipated Star Wars film after 10 years. So, from Revenge of the Sith to The Force Awakens, 10-year gap. No Star Wars films at all. We had the Clone Wars and everything like that, but I don't talk about that. So, The Force Awakens, the problem with it, really, is that it's basically A New Hope remastered. But to me, I enjoyed it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic with the way everything was pulled off. Rey is such an interesting character. The only problem is they didn't really explore her character that much in The Last Jedi as I had hoped. But John Boyega, I think, is really, really funny, and you can tell there's sort of Disney humour in there. There's definitely Disney humour. You can tell that some jokes that are in The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens are like 21st century jokes. It doesn't always feel like a galaxy far, far away. But with The Force Awakens and it coming back after so many years, it was just fantastic to see Star Wars back, and I absolutely loved it. The lightsaber fights, on the other hand, look like they've gone back to the era of the originals, where the over-the-top flips and everything like that have just completely stopped. I hope that changes. But The Force Awakens is absolutely brilliant. I love it. But coming in at number 1, you guessed it, The Empire Strikes Back, which is Star Wars Episode 5. Who can blame me for putting this first? I mean, come on, Luke. No, sorry. Everybody does that. No, I am your father. And just that moment, particularly the first time I watched it, even as a kid, it struck me. I was like, whoa, whoa. And to this day, it's still a nerve-wracking scene whenever you watch the film. Like, you just know, I know what line's coming, but still, oh my god. And, you know, it's just brilliant. I mean, it took a much darker tone than A New Hope did, and the lightsaber fight. Yeah, it's okay. It's not great, but it wasn't just the lightsaber fight which I liked about this movie. It was the dark tone and the discovery of Darth Vader being Luke's father. Now, overall, this film is the best Star Wars film I've ever seen in my life. I absolutely love it. It gets a class 10 out of 10 from me, and one day I will do reviews on every single Star Wars film, except for the ones I've excluded in this video, and just talk about them and give them a rank like I do with any other movie. So, that's my take on Star Wars films. That is my least best to best. I don't like to say worst, because none of them are really worst. Maybe The Phantom Menace isn't great. Well, it's not great at all. What am I talking about? So, yeah, those are my takes. Thank you very much for listening to me. I hope I'm improving with this channel. The background will be gone soon once I learn how to edit and when I have the time to. So thank you very much, guys. Like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.